but I heard that you can hear me. So I'll be here with you without hearing you. These are all some of the blessings of technology and the virtual realm. So we shall put up with it for today. I am actually going to show you a few slides and take you through something that I can Right. I think you can see my screen. So today I've been asked to speak to you on value-based leadership in a very short frame. But before that, I'm very, very happy to be here with many of you, in fact, all of you. And I will be with you here for a short time, however. But it would be my pleasure. Sundar Govinda Prabhu is a long-standing old acquaintance of mine, a good friend. And I know that he's very eager to preach to the youth. And I fully support that endeavor from his side, because I think they are the future. There's no doubt about that. Also, there's plenty of things that they can do and then be useful to the whole world in many ways. It is just that some little bearings maybe have to set right. And I'm going to use this session to give you something from my own understanding and realization. Most of you are youngsters, students. So I want to actually start off by very briefly asking you, what is valuable for you? All of you are young, bright students. And what is of value? Because I want to examine this title. It looked a little strange to me. The title, Value-Based Leadership, has become very famous as VBL in the leadership world. On several different occasions, I had the opportunity to talk in some other setting. But I always wonder, what is this meaning? Value-based leadership. Of late, for the past 50 years or so, we keep hearing this value-based education, value-based leadership, value-based engineering, ethical engineering, and many things like that. Somehow, somewhere along the line, value has crept inside to be a very important factor, which means that there was no value earlier, or it was short of value, which also means, strangely, that we made progress, but we didn't do it with value. In other words, we have made progress technologically, materially, in this way and that way, but somewhere along the line, we are looking at our bearings because all sorts of strange things are happening, which should not be happening if we want to call it progress. So I remember that education produced people who actually were not socially fit, people who actually did not know the value of other human beings, people who did not know the value of nature around us, the climate around us. Today we face various types of difficulties, climate change. Right now, the whole of the world is talking about a climate activist who has been arrested. And activists all over the world are protesting that. And we know that it's a sensitive thing about climate. And they're talking about other values, social values, free speech values, etc. So actually, this terminology values has been on almost everything nowadays. But we know for sure that we are short of value on culture, on technology, on engineering, on science, on, you name it, on family, on marriage, on many things. It looks like we all need to know where to put our finger on something called valuable. What is valuable to you? And then we will be able to better understand what is valuable leadership. So that question I want to pose to you, what is valuable to you? A thing of value is a joy forever. You can hear that in Shakespeare. So sometimes we go around looking at something in terms of value systems that we have. And then leadership in this world means many things also. We will return back to value. I just want to raise this question. What is leadership actually? Leadership goes by the value systems that world has provided for us. And a lot has got to do with putting up a type of leadership for the world to see. According to the values that the world sets, we put up leadership according to that. And in other words, like this Joker is trying to do, put on a smile, please. Everybody smile, but actually he's shedding tears. Inside he's sad, but externally he's saying, put on a smile. Our leadership is something like that. Our leadership is be a leader according to the standards set by people in this world, the corporate world, the technological world, the social world, everything. So sometimes I wonder, what is the meaning of leading? The word leading should automatically mean that the leader is taking his followers from point A to point B. A is where they are, and B is where they are taken to. Which means that B is a better situation than A. Point 1 to point 2 or point A to point B. Leading you from A to B, and B is a better situation. Better in what way? We found, looking back over 100 and odd years, that we have come to be, we have greater technology, we have more money, we have more facilities, and we're working hard. But something along the way we never brought along with us. We didn't bring along with us certain values which we lost, and therefore enjoying the success has become very difficult. There are numerous problems that are cropping up, and they are all value-based problems. I'll tell you one instance. One instance of a person, I remember his name is Ramesh, somebody from Chennai, from IIT Chennai. This is, I think, at least 30 years back. He was one of the first persons who went to America and floated his own company and became a CEO. One of those few first people who were powerful entrepreneurs, powerful, startups, beginners and everything. So he did his software company, and he did so great that I remember he donated 10 crores of rupees to IIT Chennai. He said, I'm an alumni and I want to use this for students. So in his name, there was a small foundation and all that, and he had a particular way of benefiting the students. He was very successful, very well known for some time. Then all of a sudden, something very strange happened in his life. One fine day, I think afterwards there was more competition and many things, other things happened. One fine day, he came home, shot his wife, shot his only child, and shot himself. And it was such a jarring news to everybody. And to me too, I said, why would he do that? A very lucrative job, and wonderfully positioned, a beautiful future, nice wife, and nice kid, very precocious kid, prodigious kid, and a beautiful wife, very obedient to him. He shot them and he shot himself. Everybody started asking these questions. Does success mean only this much? Does success end like this? Is this being real leadership value? So many questions were raised. So many times we are in position B and we see a lot of things are missing, especially something deeply internally personal. The satisfaction, the enjoyment of the success lasts for some time, but it is so superficial and external that deep inside we see something is missing. It's like an amazing comment made by our founder, Prabhupada. I thought I'd say that a little later, but I'll put that in this context here. When Prabhupada started his movement in America and spread all around, went Canada, went India and many places, he never went to UK so fast, but he sent his disciples there to start the movement. They contacted the famous George Harrison from the Beatles group, the first pop group, very famous. And he became very close to the devotees and they had big publicity and they opened up. And Prabhupada, the founder, had not yet come there. But finally he came on one fine day. And there was a huge crowd of press reporters and people with photographers and cameras and videos and people handling. And there was an interview right at the airport for him. One of the cheeky questions asked by the reporter was, why are you here in London? What do you want from UK? So Prabhupada, in his very mischievous smile, he put up and he said, what do I want from UK? That's a good question. So he smiled a little bit and said, you know, when you were in India, ruling, trying to colonize India, you took many things from us: money, textile know-how, shipbuilding know-how, steel know-how, that, this, many things, even the Kohinoor diamond, this and that, everything. And we didn't protest so much. But there's one thing you never took and you forgot to take, or you never were able to take. That I have brought for you. And there was an amazing answer. And all of those reporters were so happy with it. And the next day it came out in the papers that he has come to give something, not to take. This is leadership. Leadership means we are obviously giving something to our followers. That's what traditionally they call it transformational leadership. So leadership means you're leading people, your followers, from A to B, and B is a better situation than A. It's not that you're just giving them money. You're teaching them how to be materially successful, get name, fame, position, etc. alone. So leadership and value, two questions I asked you. And I've also answered partially some of it. Now, coming back to my first question, what's valuable to you? I know in your educational process, you're taught money is definitely one of the most valuable things. In the Vedic literature, it said, who is not attracted to money? Money is sweeter than honey. So we are taught that money is valuable, how to make money, how to do a business. The whole educational system is geared towards how to make money. If you have money, you're successful. If you have money, you can do many things. If you have money, you have power. Ask the politicians, they'll tell you. They buy power with money. If you have social position and you're known very well in society, that's valuable. You need to keep that together, especially today with social media, and everybody is branding himself and getting a social position and social media position, I should say. And these are all very valuable to us. And so we work hard to get that. Assets, properties, car, that, this, everything together. A name and fame. And I'm able to enjoy life with the money I have. I can get the best girlfriend I want. I can get the best partner I want. I can get the best place I want to visit to. Gratification. Then power over people. These are all very valuable to people in this world today. And I don't even have to ask you yes or no, because our whole educational system, our economy is geared towards that. Our whole economy is geared towards that. Economy is based on greed. If you're not greedy, this economy doesn't work. Its economy doesn't work. And in the COVID times, people remained greedy, needy, and locked up. And the economy really crashed. So all these things are definitely valuable. But I know on the backside, You have deep inside you an intangible value, which your parents may have taught, your society may have taught, your family tradition may have taught you, your religion may have taught you. And these are fading out slowly. But respect for yourself and for those others. Self-respect, self-esteem, similarly respecting others. Humility, relationships that you want to keep up very nicely. You believe in God, you have a religion, and that's very valuable to you. Culture, your family, love and affection, society and community, your relatives and neighbors, and the place that you live in, and the friends that you have. All these things are very valuable. They're intangibly valuable. Even if you didn't have money, social position, assets, name, fame, gratification, and power, you could still have all these things, which are very valuable. Which of these two is actually more valuable to us as human beings? Say that in the chat. Which of this, the one on the left, one on the right? The one on the left is gross tangible asset, let me say. And the one on the right in black is intangible, valuable asset. Which do you think is very, very important to you? I know I can't have you raise your hands, but you can on the chat write left or right. I just want to activate all of you. You can on the chat write left or right. Say that the ones on the left are actually more valuable to me. The ones on the right in black are more valuable to me. Would you like to write that in the chat? I just want to see you responding on the chat. Oops, let me see. Yeah. So a lot of you seem to be saying the one on the right side. It must be because you're already exposed to certain things. I understand. I am thinking that many of you are new to the ISKCON society and to the people who are talking to you. So thank you very much for responding to that. Yeah, the one on the right side is actually by itself valuable. And its value will never diminish. It's not depending on social situations, the economy and everything. You can have money and at some time the money can become devalued. In fact, the inflation can somehow take it off completely. And many things can happen. Your social position can go up and down. Your assets and everything that you have, property values can change. Your name and fame can change. So many, all these things are variables on the left. But on the right, you will see, once established, some of these characteristics will remain with you. These are really valuable. You're able to see that. You're able to recognize that. Human beings are a whole lot of variety. I'm not expecting that all of you should say the right thing. Some of you would have thought, no, money is valuable to me. Actually, I would have answered, yes, some of these things on the left are valuable, but they are necessarily valuable. I mean to say that they're necessary for my life, but my foundational values are the ones on the right. So you have superficial values, which we also value to some extent. Money is valuable. I know. It's not that I should brush this thing aside at all fully and do only this. No, it is. Human beings are of a great variety of people. And they come in various shapes and sizes, mentalities, intelligence, race, creed, gender, you name it. And they're of various types. They have permutation combinations. In the Indian traditional way, in Bhagavad Gita, if you have read, you know, it's a combination of the three modes of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. You can see many different types of personalities, various types. And accordingly, different people, according to their situations, develop value systems according to the culture. But these other things which I mentioned on the right are generally common to most people. They are part of the character of people, and you can't change that. So having said that, I want to introduce you to principles in life. What is valuable in life? What is really the meaning of value-based leadership? First thing, value flows from inside out. We'll talk more about that. But I want to introduce you to an amazing leader, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You must have heard a little bit about him. However, I thought it's necessary to talk something. This year is the 125th year birth anniversary of Prabhupada that we are celebrating. So I thought I should bring in whatever secular way I can at the most, some ideas about the leadership qualities of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One thing that stands out amongst his quality as a leader is his inclusiveness. He's a 70-year-old man who landed in America on a cargo ship on a free ticket. He traveled for more than 30 to 40 days. And then after he arrives there, he has nobody to depend on and he has just $7 in his pocket. An amazing entrepreneur, an amazing startup that he's going to do, to talk to you in your language. He was in a country that was totally alien to him. First time he's going out of his country, landing up in New York, right? The action place, full of hippies, the Vietnam War, and great unrest amongst the youth. He lands up there, an elderly gentleman with a walking stick, a sannyasi. And he had great love for humanity. He, like he said in Britain, I've come to give you something. He came to America to give some of the biggest gifts to people. That is leadership, value-based leadership. And you can see how he grew from a nobody. Who wants to notice a 70-year-old man walking on a walking stick on New York alone for 1 year in the beginning? In 1965, he landed there till 1966 when he founded the organization, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. An amazing person. He was all to himself amongst a lot of hippies and youngsters, and he amazed them. He proved to be such a father to them, a leadership figure. And he was able to bring all these people together, whether you're American or European or you're Latino or you're anybody. He was able to see all of them similar. Man, woman, married, unmarried, educated, not educated, drug addict, bum, drunken person. Everybody together, he got them together. Inclusiveness, the capacity to be able to be all inclusive and embrace everybody. I like this quality amongst today's generation of people. And my generation of people, things were a little different. A casteism, racism and all that have really crept into the minds of many of our generation people. Although I gave up those things when I joined the movement here. As a sannyasi now, I can relate with what Prabhupada did. It's a beautiful spiritual quality, a value in a person, high level value, to be inclusive, to be able to see all your followers equally well. Just like a father will see all his children in the same way. One may be incapacitated in one way, one will be extremely talented in another way. But all said and done, the father looks at everybody in the same way and gives equal opportunity to all of them. A leader is a person who empowers everybody equally according to their proclivities and capacity. So he was very inclusive. This was an amazing quality in him. Apart from that, very authentic, number one. A value-based leader is authentic. He's not one person inside and one person outside. Like I showed you that joker, I feel many other things. I stand by certain personal core values, but I can't practice it in this company, in this corporate. But I will do what they ask me to do because I need to get a salary. I need to climb the corporate ladder up. You'll see this dichotomy. You'll see this double standard. But he was very authentic. You could go and visit him in his room, in his house. He'll be sitting very casually behind his desk. He will be the same person publicly and privately. Authentic person. That struck everybody very much. They could put faith in this person. He was not one person inside and outside. A lot of leadership today is something that you want to perform and reach out and learn the skill, etc. It's not very natural. But Prabhupada was naturally authentic. And that struck people very much. He was a man approachable, accessible all the time, willing to help you all the time. And he made no bones about telling about his shortcomings. You will see him say that, no, I'm not very expert in electronics and all these things. Maybe you know better. You could do better. He was very open. And his purity and his authenticity really attracted a lot of people. The leader should be authentic. He should not be one thing inside and one thing outside. He brought an authentic tradition to the shores of America, the great Indian tradition, the Vaishnava tradition. And he spoke it openly, plainly, like they say, as plain as vanilla. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. He didn't feel anything about saying it. And people know this man is authentic. He has not come to market something slyly to us, cheat us into buying something. He's practicing everything that he's saying. He walks the talk. That is authenticity. You can see that in the life of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The people who were visiting him, they could see the small place where he was living and typing his letters and cooking himself. They could see that he had nothing with him. Very simple man. And a world mission, a global mission to change. When a reporter asked him, what is your mission? He said, I want to change the way people think in this world. They should learn to love human beings. They should learn to do good to human beings. And I brought something that is the highest good for everybody. And the reporter was very stunned. What do you have with you? I am bringing this great tradition. And that was only the beginning. But after that, he established 108 centers all over the world in the span of just 11 years and traveled 12 times around the world, wrote 80 volumes of books and commented on things, wrote so many lectures he spoke on so many podiums, so many conversations, huge amount of things he did. Authenticity, very important. Be authentic in your life, right? Don't be afraid of being what you are. Exemplary, number 2. Prabhupada was an exemplary personality. And he had a sophistication because of his authenticity and his exemplary nature. You could see that he's a person who is doing what he is telling us to do. What he is writing in his books, you can see him doing it. He wanted to be an example to everybody else. I live my life with full faith in Krishna, in God. I am a God-centered man. And God is there in my life. And I am moving, talking, feeling, willing, serving humanity only with the powerful force of God's energy behind me. It's his work that I'm doing. He showed it by his actions. He depended on Krishna all the time. So exemplary. Even at that age, somewhere around 8, he went 70 and around 80 years, around 75, I think 76 or 75 or 70, earlier than that. They went to Kumbh Mela and he took all his disciples from all over the world there. He was very sick. His cheeks were swollen, his leg was swollen. He was advanced age and he was walking with his walking stick and telling them, this is Kumbh Mela, the world's greatest religious festival. Crores of people land up here. And he was explaining to all these devotees what is the occasion and what does it happen here. Because they were all, some of them were from foreign lands and they were amazed to see India. And they were even more amazed to see Kumbh Mela. And they're even more happy to have Prabhupada explain to them what is happening here. All sorts of sadhus, all sorts of people spread everywhere. And Prabhupada gave them an exposure. And in that cold season, winter, he found that some of his sannyasi disciples were not. He got reports that they're not getting up early in the morning, attending the Mangalarati session, and everything was so cold. And the facilities were so less. All you had was a tent and you had a pump. And you had to hand pump the water and take the cold water back. So they couldn't do it. So some of them didn't even get up. So hearing that they were going down on their principles of sadhana and discipline, Prabhupada got up in the morning at 3:30 and he put on his towel and went bare-bodied outside to the pump and pumped water himself. Remember, he was an 80-year-old man or even more. Pumped water and took his bath. And such an alarm rose in the tent. Prabhupada is out taking his bath. And everybody jumped out of their beds, all the sannyasis and everybody, and ran outside with their towels to take bath. And Prabhupada was there. He was already ready for Mangalarti. He wanted to show, I am not able to be the example because of my age and because of my body, that I am old. But since you people are watching me and getting influenced, I don't want that to happen. And he did this. This is one instance. But his authenticity is exemplary nature of being loyal to the organization, loyal to his words, loyal to the words of the preceptors and everybody. He showed in a brilliant way. He had 5 children actually. He left all of them and took sannyasa and came away. He made this decision in his life, a very bold decision. And his son came to know his father had become so famous. And he was so rich. Father, he went with $7, but now he has got temples all over the world. His books are published in so many languages and distributed all over the world. And he is received in a big way in the airport by big dignitaries. And everybody respects him for carrying Indian culture all over the world. So when Prabhupada came to Bombay, his son came to see him with his son, with his grandson. You can imagine the scene. He wanted from his father financial help. He thought his father has become rich now. He has become the founder of the organization. So he must have a lot of money. So very easily he'll give money. You can imagine this scene that his son was not so keen on following the father's principles of spiritual life, but his disciples were keen. And when he arrived there and he said, after the initial nice, this, how are you doing? And this and that and everything. He asked his father, I want money. I am not able to get a job properly. And since you have a lot of money, you can give me money. That's all. In other words, you have to give me money. I'm your son. You made it big. So you should give the money. But Prabhupada, as a principle-oriented man, he revealed an amazing thing that day in front of all his followers. Because everybody was thinking, his son, he must be just like Prabhupada. He must be so many things. And they were watching him talking in his language to his son. And they were wondering, they were respecting the son so much. He turned around and said, my son is asking for money. He turned around to his disciple called Tamal Krishna Goswami, who was one of the senior disciples, sannyasi, and was doing a lot for Prabhupada. And he asked, my son is asking for money. You think we can give him some money? So that Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaja, he looked at his son and Prabhupada for a moment. And then he said, we don't have money just to give to him for his family and things like that. Because there is no such thing. We need to do a lot of projects and a lot of things that will be published. And we need the money for all that. So Prabhupada turned to him and said, sorry, I don't have any money to give to you for your family life. But I can offer you something. If you can become an agent for selling my books, then I can give you a commission. But the son was saying, no, you're my father. You can't ask me to do a job. You can't give me work and hire me. You have to simply give me money. That's what he was thinking. But Prabhupada, in front of all his disciples, denied money to his son. No, you take up this agency that I'll give you, isn't it? They all said, yes, that can be done. And you'll get the money from that as commission. His son was not willing. And Prabhupada also was not willing to give money to his own son. This is authenticity, discipline, loyalty, principle. This is the meaning of a leader. In front of everybody, he led them saying, in the future, you can never use this money that comes as charity. It should be used only for the purposes and the objectives of the organization. ISKCON. You can never give it for any other thing. You can also never use it for anything else. He gave a powerful leadership lesson, a value-based lesson. So this is very exemplary. And in front of everybody, he always remained a religious man. Today, people are afraid of, I am afraid of sometimes telling that I'm a religious person, though I look like one. And I am invited to speak sometimes in secular forums, and they tell us, please don't say anything about Krishna, about God and all that. But you can speak about values and spiritual qualities and principles like compassion and mercy and things like that. If you want, you can speak. But don't speak about God and religion. So many times I'm forced to speak like that. Today, religion means they say, oh, you're a faith-based guy. You are not rational. We are science, logic, reason, rational people. We don't accept all those books that you're talking about and all funny things like a elephant-headed God and a four-headed Brahma and some, in four directions you have four elephants, they are big balas and all sorts of things you guys say, completely unbelievable. And you have faith in all these things. So you religious guys are funny. You are a faith-based organization. You're based only on faith, not on reason, logic, science, rational. No. But Prabhupada, he boldly said, no. In these religious codes lie values. In these values, you can see foundational understanding of the absolute truth. And this is a relative world. And he gave philosophical understanding, very rich philosophy, whether it be Immanuel Kant or David Hume or Bertrand Russell or Socrates or Aristotle or Plato, and their entire Western philosophy, he handled it through the Bhagavad Gita, through the Bhagavat, and pounded down and said, no, you cannot have values without having God in the center. Man-made values are so relative and they're all failing. God has given us laws, and religion is required to guide a human being because it creates a rich human being filled with values. He argued it philosophically and he showed a precedent. He spoke about world history, and he was not just speaking about ordinary religion, believe what I say phonetically. He was reasoning out. He was very nicely, intelligently putting forward a model, a proposition that fits into what they were saying. They were talking about ethics, morality, and values. And he said, you cannot have values unless you have religion and you have a God-centered life. And religion is not something fanatic like it's being practiced now. It's wrong, that type of practice. The real religion is like this because it tremendously benefits human society. You can control people and rule people much better and guide them and lead them much better if you use religion. And religion is not bogus, it is true. It's reality. There is a God. And leading a godless civilization is what brought out all these things. He boldly argued it. And he used logic, he used science, he used history. And he was very powerful in his arguments. Even today, some of those arguments, cannot stand, and people cannot stand against it. So he was boldly God-centered. Being religious is not a negative point in your character. You should boldly tell people, yes, I believe in God. I'm a religious person. Oh, you're one of those guys who, blindly have faith. No, my faith is not blind faith. It's based on these books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavat. It's based on great personalities like Bhakti Vedanta, Swami, Prabhupada. It's based on great personalities who have talked about this. This is important to us in life. So he openly challenged people on his God-centric philosophy. And people could see that he was a happy man. Although he was working very hard, he was barely sleeping 2 hours a day. Throughout the night, he was writing his beautiful books full of philosophy and content, most valuable philosophical content for everybody. He was a happy man. People saw him that he was working hard and he was very happy. And he was just what he is, very humble, not claiming to be anybody very great. But at the same time, for Krishna, he claimed Krishna is great. And I am doing great things because Krishna is empowering me. You can see everything that I do is because of my faith in God. I believe in it. And God, I can feel him palpably in my life. This is the way Prabhupada presented God, not as something fantastic in the sky, not as some God man who floats around and the halo around his head and his feet don't touch the ground, nothing fantastic like that. He was a down-to-earth holy man who followed the wisdom of the Gita and was able to tell people, you too can do it, and led people to do it. He said, it's not only me, anybody can do it. Anybody can become like me and even more than me. My followers should do more than me. They should reach greater heights than me. That was the type of leader he was. He was facilitating a succession of people under him who would take his position and do more collectively as a whole group. So this is humility, God-centered living. And he was empowering everybody to rise up and be leaders. A true leader is a person who creates leaders. A true leader is not a person who makes people feel that only you can be the leader, I can never be. Then he's a failure in being a leader. If you're leading people, you should lead them into leadership. And why all these things are possible? Why all these things are possible, Prabhupada explained, is I am empowered by my spiritual master and guru. I am empowered by Krishna coming down on the line. My empowerment is not coming out of my own capacity, my own horoscope, my own ability. I am empowered by the Lord. He gave this very amazing understanding to people. So I want to say to you finally, in a sort of conclusion, that leadership is of two types. One is leading yourself. Remember this. Inside, are you leading yourself? And then, if you're a person who leads yourself properly, then definitely you can lead your followers. So personal core values are very important. Deep internal person. You should be an authentic person, internally interested in developing yourself spiritually, and you have core values. And when people see that you are a disciplined man and you are working to actually cut off all excesses, cut off all material indulgence, and carving out your spiritual personality with deep core values, and you follow that discipline, people will be attracted to following you because you are a value-based leader and you practice it on yourself. So, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to specifically tell you that this is one of the core qualities of a leader, that he is doing to himself what he is asking you to do to yourself. Otherwise, who's going to believe? So if you do that, you carve out of yourself a wonderful personality. Because the core principle is to get close to who you are. All of us are asking this question always, who am I? In the Bhagavad Gita, it tells you that you are brilliant spirit, soul, and individual forever, a spiritual personality. You are forever. But in this material world, your brilliant, multi-dimensional identity, all colorful, spiritually so vibrant, is not playing. You are on a binary mode, Dvandva Mohena Bharata, black and white. And your identity is thoroughly covered down, disadvantaged. But if you can realize that real spiritual identity, then you can actually be a leader worthwhile. Real leadership means leading people to a spiritual life, to their real identity. And when that is done, when a person connects with God in his spiritual identity and realizes that he is a vibrant spiritual personality, then and only then can you be a meaningful leader. A meaningful leader is one who is spiritually potent and who knows who he is in his own spiritual dimension, and who is able to do the same thing to his followers. This is what I meant by going from A to B. Really, leadership means one who can lead himself and knows himself only can lead. It's very important to know. So I think at the core of value-based leadership is spiritual quality. If you can understand who you are, if you can lead yourself, then definitely you'll be a good leader. That's why there is failure in leaders. However good intentioned they may be, those leaders who are really successful are those who are able to lead themselves. And they have to be spiritually oriented. This is a tradition in India. India's great history shows all the great kings, Yudhishthira, Parikshit, and beyond that, all great kings, Ranti Deva, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad, all of them you see in history, are powerful spiritual personalities who stand on their spiritual identity. And they are relating with God, and they have got a relationship with God. And only on that basis are they leaders. So this is a very vital thing I want to tell you. So some of these qualities automatically come to a person very easily when he has awakened himself spiritually, devotionally in his connection with God. Right? So I'm going to stop here. I don't want to speak too much of this to you. And I'll be happy to take some questions, but unfortunately, I will not be able to hear you. So on the screen that I'm sharing, I think I can hear you there. And I think that I'll stop sharing here. You can stop sharing here. I'd like to look at the audience. And maybe if you have any question or any comment, I will try to do the needful. Avinash Kumar is asking, without money, how will you get respect? Yeah, also that type of respect is a different type of respect. That's not really respect. Avinash ji, that type of respect, as soon as you lose money, that means you lose respect. The converse of this also is true. As soon as you lose money, you lose respect also. Do you want that type of respect? So whether you have money or not, by your quality, your value-based quality, people respect you. Isn't that better? That's what we are asking you to cultivate. Spiritual values, when you cultivate, you are much more than just a person who's being respected for your material asset. So material asset, very handsome person, you may be a beautiful lady, but as you grow old, you lose it. Nobody's going to appreciate you anymore. You may have money, and when you lose money, nobody comes to you anymore. So this is the nature of all those things that are listed on the left. They're temporary. So imagine that you're respected in spite of you not having money. That's you're respected for your knowledge, you're respected for your wisdom, you're respected for your spirituality. Yes, that type of respect is far, far higher respect. Of course, it's true that if you want to perform things in the material world, it requires respect. And for that, you need to have money. Otherwise, people will not respect. Okay, in certain type of material circles, it's required. But really speaking, for yourself internally, I don't need to be respected because of money. That is cheap respect. That will come, that will go. But if you can develop your value in such a way that people will respect you for what you are. And there are many personalities like that. Mahatma Gandhi is respected the world over for his values. He's not respected because he has money. He has no money. But even today, he was called a half-naked fakir by the Britishers, bare-bodied, carrying a stick, clothed only right up his basic underwear and his dhoti from his, hip to his knees. And he was roaming around. powerful person influencing somebody, would he not have respect? Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is respected all over the world for the philosophy, for the lifestyle that he introduced, and for the great work he did for humanity, arousing them to spiritual values. So think about that too. Okay, Avinash? When to stop in this ever-developing world? The world will not stop. The world will go on its hell-bent course. You can already see it's happening. Now it's COVID time and many people had time to think for a whole year, what is happening? And they had so many questions. And many people have understood that I cannot follow these leaders because they can't do anything for me. They can't give me money. Now in Texas, in Dallas, in Texas, because of the power shutdown, outage, for so many days together, people have lost faith in the leaders. One of the leaders, the mayor, said, we don't have to do anything to you. You go and look after yourself. What can I do? That was the quality of leadership. He said, I don't expect me or the government to do anything for you. You go and look after yourself. And people became outraged at this type of leadership. You see, the more the world moves ahead, you'll see the very weak leadership we will have. So worse times are yet to come. Therefore, by relying on value-based, spiritually value-based leadership, we can create communities of devotees who know how to live. Prabhupada called it simple living, high thinking. Right? Not simply living, I thinking. Always think of yourself selfishly. In simple living, high thinking, communities of people come together. They become people who help each other, and they successfully go past all these type of difficulties by helping each other, sharing resources, being inclusive, and living on a God-conscious platform. This is the model that Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has given us, and we are very, very happy to practice that, and we are trying to spread that. I hope you understand that. Maharaj, how to avoid overthinking? Just don't think too much. That's all. Don't become overthinking person about overthinking. Just be simple, be who you are. With this type of information overload that we're getting through the internet now, everything you can get, and that fear of missing out that you have, FOMO, and that anxiety you have, and you gobble up so much of information. You tend to think a lot because you want to process all forms of information. I tell people, just remain cool. Just go and get only what you need from the internet and work once at a time on one piece of information and enjoy it, be in the present, live through it, think about it, deliberate on it, and learn more. Information is not important, but knowledge is important. Information should be converted to knowledge. Knowledge should be converted to realization. And it makes you happy that I understood it in this way. And then you put it to action. So that process is really knowledge. Not that you sit and overthink about so many different things and do multitasking and ruin yourself. Finally, you have not done thinking about anything properly. So thinking there is a process how to reach at the ultimate fruit of it, which should be beneficial to you. So there is a way of thinking, and that should be trained. People should be trained, and especially those who are spiritually oriented and are practicing some devotional aspects of things, find it much easier to stop overthinking because they depend more on the Lord. What failure in life actually means? Failure in actually has got various meanings to it. Failure means you failed to achieve what society has laid as the bar. You were not able to program yourself, although you don't like it, to do what society says, because the definition of failure is as per society. You can have your own definition of failure. I think those who fail to be spiritually oriented are greatest failures. Sooner or later, like I gave you the example of the person coming and shooting he and his wife and his family. Sooner or later, these people were driven by material nature to do horrible activities. So that is even greater failure. Failure to lead a rich life of spiritual activity. Failure to understand God, Krishna, as is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Failure to relate with yourself in a true identity. All these are great failures. But if you didn't get money, didn't get social position, it's not really a great failure. You're still a human being. You still can achieve the real meaning and purpose of human life. And it doesn't depend on you earning money. It doesn't depend on you getting a social position. This is independent of it. This is the great wealth of India. This is what Prabhupada told in UK, that I have brought that for you. That is really our rich heritage, right? So in India, everybody should appreciate spirituality, devotional life, connection with Krishna, with God, as per the Bhagavad Gita, and cherish that. And you will see that there'll be no failure. The real failure is at the time of death, you'll know. If you have not cultivated these things, then you'll be a failure. What is the use of being a success according to the world? And when you die, you're not really successful as a human being who has achieved the goal of life. Think about that, right? Sundar Govinda Das. Hare Krishna Maharaj, what does God come in dreams once or twice? Why does God come? He wants to benedict you. He wants to point out something to you. Maybe you've started thinking of God, and so he's eager to get you to relate with him. Prashant Avasti, how will we find spiritual master who will guide us to cross this material entanglement? That you can ask your local advisors also. There, I'm sure they'll advise you. But you can actually see the description of who a guru is in the Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Krishna is describing very clearly who that guru is, what are his qualities, and you can get to know these things. And it's not anything material at all. A guru should be understood by hearing him, not by looking at him, not by how he's wearing gold-rimmed spectacles and how he has shaved himself very nicely, or how he is conducting himself in a public. These are all useless ways to judge spirituality. These are all material. You should hear a person and know his content is known by what he knows. That experience and that spiritual existence that he has gone through will teach you amazing things. Then you know that he is coming in a Guru Sishya Parampara, disciplic succession, that he is coming from a particular school, a university. And he has got his teacher, and his teacher's got his teacher, and his teacher's got his teacher, and it leads up to Krishna. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshivo viduhu. Krishna explains all these things in the 4th chapter. You can read that, and I'm sure that you'll be benefited. Okay, Prashant Avasti. Nitish, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for such enlightening lecture. How can we understand the value? Without God is not actually value. There are so many people doing sort of activities like social welfare and all. So are they have no value? Yes, they have temporary value. But like I told you, the question is, who will respect me if I don't have money? Yes, you get temporary value because of your money. When you lose your money, you lose your value also. But God means permanent value. Why? Because God values you. If you connect with Krishna, Krishna is saying, you become highly valuable to me. And if Krishna values you, why should he care about anybody's value? So in this way, we can understand God recognizing us in a relationship with him is real value. That is what is Bhakti. That is why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by doing that, we connect with God gradually, and we can palpably feel it. And in this way, we will make progress. Okay? And understanding what's of real value. Don't worry about what people think in this world. Obviously, that values are different from the values we have. Please give some example of humility by Prabhupada. Oh, wonderful question. Immediately what comes into my mind is what I was talking to yesterday to some of the persons who are here. Not here, I mean, in our gathering. I was telling them about how Prabhupada came to America, very humble person. He had only $7 in his pocket. He sold his books and made little money and brought groceries and cooked and did everything. And he was waiting for an opening. 1 year passed, and then finally one of his followers called Michael Grant, who later became Mukunda Swami, a very senior devotee, a very mature devotee. Even today, he's one of the most senior personalities in our movement, highly respected. Michael Grant was a musician, and he and Prabhupada developed a nice bond. Prabhupada taught him Mritanga, khol, and how to play the kartals. And so he said that I know musical people and everything. Let's have a musical festival. I'll call them. And in that, I'll get you a chance to speak. He said, yes. So he arranged all these great, groups like Grateful Dead, Aerosmith. In those days, there were big groups. He arranged them. And they were all smoking, drinking, all sorts of crazy things. And there was a guru, a drug guru for all of them called Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg came and met Prabhupada already, and he liked Prabhupada. He chanted Hare Krishna Mahamantra with Prabhupada. But he was the guru of all these hippies. He was teaching them how to take LSD and shots and get experiences and telling them it is spiritual and all that. So, but he liked Prabhupada because Prabhupada was a very wise man. And so he understood. So this Michael Grant, while arranging the program, he brought Allen Ginsberg as a chief guest. So lots of people gathered to see him. And then they had this chanting, and Prabhupada asked Allen Ginsberg to lead the chanting, and everybody joined. And then he took over and he chanted and everybody joined. Then he gave a short talk on what it means to chant the name of God, how you can get an experience of God, everything. And then he walked off the stage, and then the musical festival started, and it was all wild. So the next day, Prabhupada was happy that he had an opening and he had a chance to talk to people about his mission, about Bhagavad Gita, everything. And it seemed that they were very, very receptive. So then, as he was alone in his place and going up a loft, small place here, very humble place, he was sitting with his typewriter and typing in a loft-like thing. So when he was going up there, climbing up the staircase, somebody came running to him, like a reporter he was, and he told him, "Are you not Allen Ginsberg's guru? I saw you yesterday in the program because he was sitting at your feet. So are you not Allen Ginsberg guru? That was a great chance to become famous. Here's a reporter going to report." But Prabhupada, in all his humility, he looked at him in the eye, and then his eyes became so calm. And he said, "I am nobody's guru. I am everybody's servant." And then he bent his head lower and he said, "It is difficult to be a servant." And by that time, Michael Grant came close to him and he was watching. What an amazing personality this person is. He's getting an opportunity from a reporter to say, "Yes, I'm Allen Ginsberg guru, put my photograph in the newspaper, everything." But rather he's getting a reply, "I'm nobody's guru. I am everybody's servant. I have come here to serve all of you." So this is the meaning of a person who gives, not a person who takes. In this world, all of us, the leaders, are all taught how to take, how to market a product in such a way that even though you don't want it, you buy it and I take your money. This is what all the leaders are trying to show, how to sell, how to hard sell, how to market, how to take his money away and give your product to him. It's all about taking, and it comes disguised as giving sometimes. Oh, this product is so good, so many features at such a low price, and so many things I would say. Everybody is taking. Nobody is giving. And you can see Prabhupada saying, "I am all of your servant." And he lived his life like that. He lived his life like that. This is humility. And in that small place he was living, there was one bathroom and toilet. And some of those hippies would stay there only in the hall. After eating, they'll sleep there only. Prabhupada did not bother. In the morning, in that one bathroom and toilet, they will all stand in a queue. And in America, it's all like social things are very, if you come last, you first come, first serve. So Prabhupada also stood in the queue, wrapped around, and his little kit, toilet kit in his hands. 80-year-old man with a walking stick, standing in the queue along with all these hippies. And this place belongs to Prabhupada, his organization. But in his own place, he's standing in the queue because he knew that these people don't understand how to pay respect to a sannyasi, to a sadhu. They don't have that culture. So he followed their culture, standing in the queue. 1 day, 2 days. On the 3rd day or 4th day, one of them felt that we are doing something wrong here. This elderly gentleman teaching us so many nice things, cooking food and giving us, and we are here free lunch, and we are, I think disrespecting him. So after 2-3 days of standing in the queue, they said, "You please go first." And he said, "Thank you." This is the humility of Prabhupada, who started this movement, and he was a founder, spread all over the world, and today also widely spreading. This is humility. Patience, tolerance, humility, dependence on Krishna is always victorious. We showed that. I hope that helps you. How can you understand the value without God is actually, okay, I already answered that. Humility. How to stay undeviated and focused in our spiritual path. Okay, this is the last question I'll answer because somebody's calling me the next program. How to stay undeviated and focused on our spiritual path if we certainly get demotivated? Always keep in touch with same type of people. Have good association of such people whose mind is also like this, who are also interested in the spiritual subject matters. And follow the sadhana of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, being in the association to it, and reading this rich literature. Read the Bhagavad Gita, read the Bhagavad, read all these books. It's a great treasure. And you will see that you'll be safe. And you'll be able to focus simply by the mercy of the Lord and by the mercy of devotees around you. So take that seriously. And I'm sure Krishna is a person who's very kind, who's very merciful. When he sees that you're practicing sincerely and want to know something, he will reach out and he will be giving you everything that's necessary for you to focus. Om Tat Sat. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. With your permission, Sundar Govinda Das.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Such a wonderful lecture, Maharaj.
Have to leave. I hope I have been able to help you in some way and inspire all of you to take up Krishna consciousness and lead a life of great value. Hare Krishna. Thank you.